Why comfort is destroying your future. What if I told you the very thing you're chasing every single day, ease, relaxation, comfort, is the same thing quietly stealing your life from you? Not in one dramatic moment, but in thousands of small, invisible decisions. The decision to sleep a little longer instead of building your discipline. The decision to avoid discomfort instead of facing what you know you must face. The decision to stay where it feels safe instead of stepping where it feels uncertain. And here's the truth most people never confront. Comfort does not keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. If you stay with me until the end, you're going to understand something most people never realize in their entire lives. Why your motivation keeps disappearing, why your potential feels blocked, and why your life keeps repeating the same patterns no matter how badly you say you want change. You're going to see how comfort rewires your identity without you noticing it. You're going to understand why discipline feels hard at first, but becomes the only bridge to real freedom. And most importantly, you're going to discover how to break the cycle that keeps pulling you back into the same place, even when you swear you want more. This isn't about inspiration. This is about awakening, because the moment you see what comfort is really doing to your future, you can never unsee it again. And that's where everything starts to change. Comfort is a silent killer of potential. It doesn't look dangerous on the surface. It feels safe, warm, and deserved. It tells you that you've done enough, that you can slow down, that pushing harder can wait. But while you're sitting in that comfort, something critical is slipping away from you. Your edge gets dull, your hunger fades, your standards quietly drop, and the most dangerous part is you don't even notice it happening. You think you're fine because nothing feels wrong, but that's exactly how it traps you. It keeps you in a place where you're not failing hard enough to wake up, but not growing enough to move forward. And over time, that fine becomes your ceiling. Potential doesn't disappear in one big moment. It erodes in small, comfortable decisions. Every time you choose what's easy instead of what's necessary, you chip away at who you could become. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You tell yourself you'll push harder when the time is right. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only now and what you do with it. And when now keeps getting traded for comfort, your future starts shrinking. You begin to accept less effort, less discipline, less from yourself, and eventually you start believing that this smaller version of you is all you're capable of being. Easy choices create a hard life. That's the trade most people don't see until it's too late. In the moment, easy feels rewarding. Skipping the workout feels good. Avoiding the difficult task feels relieving. Choosing distraction over focus feels effortless. But those easy choices don't just disappear, they stack, they compound. And what they build is a life filled with stress, frustration, and missed opportunities. Because while you were choosing easy, you were also choosing delay. Delay in progress, delay in growth, delay in becoming who you said you wanted to be. And life doesn't negotiate with that. Life responds to action, not intention. You can have all the goals, all the dreams, all the plans, but if your daily actions are built around comfort, your results will reflect that. You don't rise to your desires, you fall to your habits. And if your habits are easy, your life will become hard. Hard because you'll constantly feel behind. Hard because you'll watch others move forward while you stay stuck. Hard because deep down, you'll know you're capable of more, but you didn't demand it from yourself. There's a pattern here, and it's simple. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. When you avoid growth, you stay the same. And when you stay the same for too long in a world that keeps moving, you fall behind. That's not punishment, it's reality. Progress requires pressure. It requires you to do things that stretch you, challenge you, and sometimes break the version of you that wants to stay comfortable. The people who build powerful lives understand this at a deep level. They don't wait to feel motivated. They don't wait for things to be easy. They act because they've trained themselves to see discomfort as a signal, not to stop, but to move forward. When something feels hard, they lean in. When something feels uncomfortable, they recognize it as growth and progress. And that's the difference. They've rewired their mindset to associate discomfort with opportunity instead of fear. You have the same ability, but it requires a decision, a real decision, not a half-hearted promise you'll forget tomorrow. A decision that says you're done letting comfort dictate your actions, that you're done choosing what's easy at the cost of what matters. Because the truth is, every easy choice you make today is writing a harder story for your future. And every hard choice you make today is building an easier, stronger, more powerful life tomorrow. So when you feel that pull toward comfort, Recognize it for what it is. It's not rest, it's resistance. It's not reward, it's a test. And how you respond in those moments will define everything. Growth begins where comfort ends. The moment you step beyond what feels safe, predictable, and easy, you enter the only space where real change happens. Inside comfort, nothing stretches you. Nothing demands more from you. You repeat the same patterns, think the same thoughts, and live within the same limits. It feels controlled, but it's actually confinement. Because if you're not being challenged, you're not evolving. And if you're not evolving, you're slowly falling behind without realizing it. The edge of your comfort zone is where everything shifts. That's where doubt shows up. That's where fear starts talking. That's where your mind tries to pull you back into what's familiar. But that resistance you feel is not a sign to stop. It's a signal that you found the exact place where growth is waiting. Most people misread that feeling. They think discomfort means danger. In reality, it means expansion. It means you're doing something that has the power to change you. Every skill you've ever built, every level you've ever reached came from stepping into something that once felt uncomfortable. Think about it. The first time you tried something new, it was awkward, uncertain, maybe even intimidating. But by staying with it, by pushing through that initial resistance, you adapted, you grew, and what was once uncomfortable became normal. That's how progress works. You don't eliminate discomfort, you outgrow it, but here's where most people sabotage themselves. The moment things start to feel hard, they retreat. They go back to what's easy, what's known, what doesn't demand effort, and in doing that, they shrink their world. They shrink their possibilities. Because every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce a mindset that says this is enough, even when deep down you know it's not. Your future dies in your comfort zone. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, decision by decision. It dies every time you ignore the opportunity to grow because it feels inconvenient. It fades every time you avoid the work that could move your life forward. It weakens every time you settle for less than what you're capable of. And the most dangerous part is it doesn't feel like loss in the moment. It feels like relief. It feels like you're taking it easy, like you're giving yourself a break. But what you're really doing is postponing your potential until it eventually disappears. There's a version of your life that requires more from you, more discipline, more courage, more consistency, and that version cannot exist inside comfort. It demands that you face uncertainty, that you take risks, that you push beyond what feels convenient. If you're not willing to step into that space, then that future remains out of reach, not because it's impossible, but because it's uncomfortable. The truth is, you don't get a powerful life by accident. You build it through intentional discomfort, through choosing the hard path when the easy one is right there, through showing up when you don't feel like it, through doing the work that most people avoid. And every time you do that, you expand your capacity. You become stronger, sharper, more capable. You start to realize that what once felt impossible is now something you can handle. There's a cost to everything. Comfort has a cost and growth has a cost. Comfort costs you your future, growth costs you your ease, and you don't get to avoid the price, you only get to choose which one you're willing to pay. Most people pay with regret. They look back and wonder what could have been if they had just pushed a little harder, taken that risk, stepped into that discomfort, but by then the opportunity has passed. You're making that choice right now, whether you realize it or not, in how you respond to challenges, in how you handle pressure, in whether you lean into discomfort or avoid it, because every moment that asks more from you is giving you a chance to grow. And every time you say no to that moment, you're saying no to a bigger version of your life. The line between where you are and where you want to be is drawn by discomfort. Cross it and you grow. Stay behind it and you remain exactly where you are. Discipline hurts, regret destroys. There's no escaping pain. You're going to feel it either way. The only question is which pain you're willing to live with. Discipline is the pain of effort, of showing up when you don't feel like it, of doing what's required even when every part of you wants to quit. It's uncomfortable, it's demanding, and it forces you to confront your excuses, but it's temporary. It sharpens you. It builds something inside you that carries forward into every area of your life. Regret is different. Regret doesn't hit you in the moment. It waits. It builds quietly in the background, stacking every missed opportunity, every delayed decision, every time you chose easy over necessary. And when it shows up, it doesn't push you forward. It pulls you apart. It makes you question yourself. It reminds you of what you could have done, what you should have done, and what you didn't do. And unlike discipline, regret doesn't make you stronger. It traps you in the past. When you avoid discipline, you're not avoiding pain. You're choosing a more destructive version of it later. Because every time you skip the hard work, every time you break your own commitment, you weaken your self-trust. You start to see yourself as someone who doesn't follow through. And that identity shapes your actions. You hesitate more. You doubt more. You expect less from yourself. That's how potential fades, not through lack of ability, but through lack of discipline. You're choosing comfort over greatness. And that choice shows up in the smallest moments. It's not one big decision that defines you, it's the daily pattern. It's whether you push when it gets uncomfortable or back off when it gets difficult. It's whether you stay focused or give in to distraction. It's whether you honor your goals or negotiate them away for temporary relief. Greatness isn't built in comfort. It's built in those moments where you don't feel like continuing, but you do it anyway. Where your mind says stop, but you keep going, that's where standards are set. That's where identity is formed. Because every time you override the easy option, you send a message to yourself, you are someone who does what's required. Most people wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline is what remains when motivation disappears. It's the system, the structure, the decision to act regardless of how you feel. And that's what separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck. Not talent, not luck, standards. If your standard is comfort, your results will reflect that. You'll do just enough to get by. You'll stop when it gets hard. You'll settle without even realizing it. But if your standard is growth, everything changes. You start to demand more from yourself. You stop accepting excuses. You begin to see challenges as part of the process, not something to avoid. Right now, you're building a pattern. Either you're building the habit of discipline or you're building the habit of avoidance. And whichever one you repeat becomes who you are. No pressure, no progress. When everything feels easy, nothing is really changing. Pressure is what forces you to adapt, to think sharper, to act faster, to become more than you were yesterday. It stretches your limits and exposes your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. Without it, you stay stuck in the same patterns, repeating the same results. Comfort removes urgency, and without urgency, action fades. Comfort today, pain tomorrow. Every time you avoid the hard choice, you delay growth and multiply future struggles. What feels easy now becomes a heavier burden later because ignored effort turns into accumulated consequences. Weak habits are built in comfort. When you constantly choose what's easy, you train your mind to avoid effort and reject challenge. Those small decisions, skipping work, delaying action, choosing distraction, quietly shape your identity into someone who settles. Over time, that becomes your default. If it's easy, it's not changing you. Real transformation comes from resistance, from doing what stretches you beyond your limits. Easy actions maintain who you are, but hard actions create who you can become. So here's the final truth about why comfort is destroying your future. Comfort doesn't announce itself as danger, it arrives as relief. It feels like reward. It convinces you that slowing down, delaying, and avoiding pressure is harmless. But step back and look closely. Every time you chose comfort over challenge, you didn't just take a break. You paused your growth. And repeated pauses become a stalled life. Awareness is the turning point, because the moment you see comfort for what it really is, not safety but subtle sabotage, you gain back control. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop waiting for perfect timing, and you start realizing that your future is not built in moments of ease, but in moments of decision. This is your wake-up call. Choose discomfort on purpose. Train yourself to move when it's hard. Build a standard that doesn't bend for convenience. If this message hit you, stay connected with Alpha Motivation World, because the next video will take this even deeper, showing you how to rewire your habits so discipline becomes your default, not your struggle. Thank you for watching. If you got value from this, like the video, drop a comment on what part hit you the hardest, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Your future is still in your hands, but only if you stop choosing comfort over who you're meant to become.